Now, when we begin this Vipasana practice of emptiness, then often in the texts when they establish the view of emptiness, then you'll find that they'll often use some sort of physical object to describe what emptiness means in terms of being a dependent arising. And so that's what we've sort of done a little bit yesterday and this morning a bit is, we've used objects like laptop and flowers and so forth to sort of try to establish the view intellectually, the idea of emptiness dependent arising. But when it comes to internalizing that intellectual understanding, when it comes to meditating on it, then often it's recommended that we start our investigation of reality by focusing on ourselves as a person. Because this is where we start to go wrong, is when we turn this line into a boundary, when we grasp onto self, when we grasp onto there's an independent me here, then of course there's independent world there. That's where the whole process starts to go wrong. So we can focus on ourselves. Is there really this independent me here that seems to be here? And to focus on ourselves as a person. So that's usually where it's recommended to start this Vipassana practice. So that's what I'd like to do now, is to do a Vipassana practice by looking at ourselves as a person and looking at how do I exist. And I'm going to do the meditation, guide the meditation, and then after the meditation I'm going to describe the actual steps in the process. Because if we do the meditation first, then you'll have some idea of the process. Whereas if I describe the process, you may not understand what we're talking about. So I think it's best to do the meditation, then we can describe the actual process of how to investigate in a very methodical way. So let's do the meditation. As always, we begin by preparing the body, setting the body into a state of relaxation, stillness, and vigilance. Vigilant posture, of course, means to keep the back nice and straight. And at the same time, allowing the entire body to become completely relaxed, completely at ease. And relaxing more deeply with each out-breath. the breathing to flow naturally and effortlessly. And with each out breath, letting go of any thoughts that may have arisen. Simply allowing the mind to come to rest in the present moment. Focusing on the sensations of the breath throughout the body. And maintaining an ongoing flow of mindfulness of the sensations of the breath throughout the entire cycle of each in and out breath. Now, do you have a sense that there is a me here who is meditating? A me who is trying to focus the mind on the breath? A me that seems to exist from its own side, not depending on anything else to exist. Do you have this experience? Can the me who is meditating be found anywhere? Can the meditator be found anywhere within the body? So search thoroughly every part of the body and look for the me who is meditating. Is the meditator somewhere inside the head? Somewhere behind the eyes? Is the brain the me who is meditating? Or is the brain simply something which I possess? Something which me, the meditator, is using? Is the whole body itself, is that the me who is meditating? Or is the whole body itself simply something which I possess? Something which me, the meditator, is trying to relax? Can the me who is meditating be found anywhere within the mind? So again, search every part of the mind and look for the me who is meditating. Are any of the thoughts, emotions, or concepts in the mind, are any of these the me who is meditating? Are thoughts, emotions and concepts simply things which I possess, things which me, the meditator, has? Is the mind itself the me who is meditating? Or is the mind itself simply something which I possess, something which me, the meditator, is using to focus on the breath? Is the combination of the body and the mind, is that the me who is meditating? Or is the combination of the body and the mind simply two things which I possess, two things which me, the meditator, is trying to train? Yet, other than the body and the mind, what else is there here? If there's nothing more than the body and the mind here, then where is the me who possesses this body and mind and is trying to train this body and mind? Where is the me who is meditating? If you can't find the me, simply rest in the experience of not finding. Now, even if you didn't find the meditator, isn't there someone who's experiencing all of this? So there is a me here meditating. But just because we don't seem to be able to find it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It simply means it's empty of findable, independent existence. That doesn't mean there's no meditator at all. The me who is here meditating is the me merely labelled on the basis of the body and the mind. Merely labelled on the basis of the body that is sitting here and the mind that is focusing on the breath. The merely labelled me is sitting here meditating. Any questions about that practice, that meditation?
When you were using the words, is it me that possesses things? I felt like at a certain stage that I do not possess anything. Because when I'm breathing the air and I do not possess the air.
But
I was listening to your voice and I do not possess you or your voice. I was listening to the bird, to the truck, and I'm not possessing them. So then I thought there is a me, and I thought, well, if I'm not the body, if me cannot be encapsulated, okay, in the term of mind and body, then who's the observer? I was thinking, who's the observer? And I thought that I felt like, and it was very releasing at the end. It was felt like the observer is interactive, in interaction constantly. So there is a sense, there is a observer, because I'm observing the things, but it's not. It can't really be encapsulated. It is changing from minute to minute, and it is releasing. A sense of.
So, and then I'm going to look at this meditation. I'm going to sort of step out the steps of the meditation and the places where we can go wrong in the meditation. But what we're saying here, and I think you're reflecting in what you're saying, is that when we look for the observer, the meditator, the person, it's very elusive. And yet there seems to be a presence, a me here. And that's exactly what we're saying here, is that there is a me here, as the observer, as the meditator, but it's not a findable me. It's a me that is simply a dependent phenomena, not only causes and conditions and parts, but depending on the conceptual framework as well. So this here, in this practice, if we're doing this search and we don't seem to find it, then we can come to this insight. And then if we come to this point of not finding, then we simply hold that experience. We stop continuing to search. We just hold that experience of not finding, and that is an experience of emptiness. And as you said, it's often very liberating because there's no sort of grasping going on then. There's just this open, spacious state. Yet we can have a sense of presence.
It's not like not finding and losing. It's not losing anything.
No.
Because when automatically we think when we don't find something, maybe we lose something.
Yeah. The only thing we're losing is a false sense of me, the one that's actually causing us all our problems.
I was thinking about the brain. It's inevitable to think about the brain as like a big computer.
Sure.
It has the hard drive with your memories and everything. But then when you just experience a stream of consciousness, you wonder, where are all those things? I mean, according to Tibetan Buddhism, do they exist in your stream of consciousness, like the memories, or
Yes.
are they the hard drive? Like, is there a hard drive, or?
Depends what you mean by hard drive, but yes, I mean, all experiences take place in our mind, in our consciousness, and that's where our memories are as well. So, but I mean, it depends a little bit what you mean by hard drive, you know.
Like, do my current stream of consciousness carry 30 years of consciousness, of
Yes.
memories?
Yes. Yes.
So it's not anywhere in my body?
No.
Okay.
There is, of course, a close relationship with the consciousness and the physical body, particularly the brain. So, you know, you damage your brain, basically you're damaging the mechanism for gaining access. It's a support, but they're not equated as the same thing.
During my search for who's the observer and who's me, I didn't, of course, I didn't find anything, but I find it hard to stay in that state of mind of not knowing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things I'm going to talk about now. But the brief answer is, and I've mentioned this a couple of times already, is that if we want this or other meditations to be more effective, then we need to put work into the shamatha practice, the developing a calm, clear, focused mind. Otherwise, these difficulties will occur. Not only will we find it difficult to methodically search, because we sort of get distracted or spaced out, but if we do sort of get to a point of not finding, then it'll be difficult to rest in that experience, because we try and rest in that and then we just space out, or we start thinking about other things, and so therefore that experience doesn't penetrate very much. So that's why it's important. Yeah.
I have a bit of a weird question, but if everyone in the world, becomes enlightened, does that mean
Then we
that,
can all have a holiday. We can all go on holiday then.
Yeah, but does that mean that we are kind of all the same? Because
No.
in a way, like a person is a collection of things he's been through, and his emotions, and the way he reacts to things, and his likes and dislikes. So if you put all of that aside, his likes and dislikes, which is like mental afflictions.
Putting it all aside.
Well, if you just eliminate it.
If you get rid of your mental afflictions,
Yeah.
then you have a mind with no mental afflictions. Good.
Yeah. And if you decide that all the memories and the things you've been through, they're not affecting you anymore. Also,
You still have memories. If you
Yeah.
become enlightened, you still have all the memories.
Yeah, but what's left? Like, what is the?
What's left is a person who's actually free of all mental afflictions and suffering.
Is it all the same people? Is it all
Same.
all the persons? That became enlightened because the whole world enlightened. Are they all the same because they have?
Same. What do you mean by the
Same.
word same?
Well,
They're the
now,
same in terms of all of them have no mental afflictions and suffering.
Yeah.
But have they the same body and the same mind? No, of course not. Just like we're all the same here in that we all have mental afflictions and suffering, but we don't have the same body and same mind.
Yeah, but we also, in our perspective, we're not the same. Like, I'm me because I like tea and don't like chocolate, and you're you because you like...
Yeah, if you're enlightened, you might like tea and chocolate as well. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, but if, like, what makes me me, is the things I've been through, and the way I think about them, and the things I like and don't like, and stuff like what makes me me. So
Really?
It can be changed.
Really? So you are your personality? That makes you you? Or do you have a personality? Do you have habits, or are you those habits?
well, if I become enlightened and I don't have a personality,
Of course you'll have a personality. Of course you'll have a personality.
so we have the same personality, we have the same habits of not having habits, we have the same emotions of
No, we
not
don't.
having emotions.
That's
So
not true.
why
That
not?
is not true.
Why?
So we have some loving kindness and compassion now.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we're enlightened, we'll have those in full measure.
Yeah, it's on the same measure. Like now, we can say.
So
someone
if you and I have the same level of anger, that makes us the same.
No, because we have other things that are not the same. If we don't have any mental afflictions, if we
Right.
don't have anything, yeah, and we just
Anything.
love everyone.
Well, it'd be a wonderful world, wouldn't it?
All enlightened.
It'd be a wonderful world, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but what makes us us? Like,
So again, maybe, and then I want to talk about this meditation, is, are you your personality? Are you your thoughts? Are you your emotions? Are you your habits? No. These are all things which we have, so they're not us. The problem is identifying ourselves with these things is the problem. I'm an angry person. I'm this, I'm that. We're none of those things. These are all things which we have. You
we
have
don't have them.
you have thoughts, you have emotions, you have a personality, you have habits.
But what's left if I don't have anything because I'm enlightened?
You have.
I don't have them anymore. because
You have a
I'm
personality when you're enlightened, you have thoughts, you have emotions, you have habits when you're enlightened. They're quite different than now, but you still have these things.
But I don't have emotions like anger and stuff like
Good.
that.
Wouldn't you like to be like that? Wouldn't you like to have only the good emotions and get rid of the negative emotions? Wouldn't that be a good thing?
Just don't understand what's left after everything.
That's the thing, is everything's
The
not
same
gone.
as everyone.
Everything's not gone. We're getting rid of the bad stuff and we're increasing the good stuff. So it's not gone.
But are everyone the same then? Or not? No? If the answer is no.
Well, no. I mean, if you want to say we're all the same because we have anger, then yes, everyone's enlightened is all the same because they all have loving kindness and compassion. It's the same. So if you mean the same, identical, no. Just like none of us are identical now, none of us will be identical when we're enlightened. Of course
But
not.
aren't we not identical because the things that we possess, the things we have? Okay.
I think we need to think about this a bit more. But anyway, let me go into the meditation now, because I want to talk about the steps in this meditation, because there are a number of places where we can sort of go astray in this meditation. And this meditation is described with what's called the 4 essential points. And I'm using terminology here from a book from His Holiness Dalai Lama called How to See Yourself as You Really Are. And I believe it's been translated into Hebrew. Yes. So this is a very good book, introduction book into this Vipasana practice of emptiness. Very clearly written. The first point here, identifying the target, means to get a clear picture of how we see ourselves existing. Because now we grasp onto this independent me. So now we have the sense that there is an independent me here. And in this meditation, we are going to investigate and see, is there in fact an independent me here or not? So if we're going to search for this independent me that seems to be here, we need to have a clear picture of what that looks like. Otherwise, we could do the search and not come up with a conclusive answer. For example, let's say we're looking for a particular person in a crowded room, and we don't have a clear picture of what that person looks like. Then we'll search and we go, well, maybe that's the person. I'm not sure. So we're not going to come up with a definite answer, is that person in the room or not? So similarly here with this meditation, we need to get a clear picture of this me as it appears to us, this independent me. So often in this meditation, at a beginning stage of this practice, you know, when we sit down to meditate, we relax the body, we relax the mind, and then often we don't have a strong sense of me anymore. So often it's recommended at the beginning stages of doing this practice, at the beginning, then when you sit down, relax the body, mind, then the first thing is to think of a situation where there's a strong sense of me. You know, bring a situation to mind, like maybe someone's criticizing you for something, someone's praising you for something. Usually in those situations we have a strong sense of me, you know, they're criticizing me or they're praising me. And so bring some situation like that to mind and then just rest in that experience of me and just get a clear picture of the sense of me, the me that's being criticized, the me that's being praised. Because that's the me we need to look for. So that's identifying the target. Now, this is the most important point, and this is where often people sort of go astray in this meditation. One, they don't get a clear picture. And secondly, when we start to do the search, then rather than doing a direct search, looking directly in the body and the mind for this me, often people turn this meditation into an intellectual exercise. Particularly people who've had some philosophical background from Buddhism or other areas, then when they start to do the search, they go, oh yes, the me is the subtle mental continuum. I learnt that in my Buddhist studies. Or, no, the me is this subtle aura, this energy field. You know, I learnt that. That's me. And so then they always come up with an answer. But is that the me that we're relating to when someone's criticizing us? Are we relating to some subtle aura energy field when someone's criticizing us? Or when you know, are we relating to the subtle mental continuum when someone's criticizing us as me? I don't think so. So, therefore, don't make this an intellectual exercise because then we're missing the point. It's like, I think in Buddhism there's a saying, you know, that if we're looking for a cow, then we, you know, find a donkey or something, you know. We're looking in the wrong place. So we need to make sure that we get a clear picture of this me that seems to be here and then look for that me directly and don't make it some sort of intellectual exercise. The second step, limiting the possibilities, is talking about just understanding where we need to look. Because if there is an independent me, it must be findable. Then that independent me can only exist in one of two places, either as the same as the body and the mind or different than the body and the mind. So therefore we need to look in those two places for the me. So this second step is simply to understand where do we need to look to make sure we have a comprehensive search, that we don't miss any places of looking. So again, it's to understand here that the me, the findable me, if it exists, it's either the same as the body and the mind or different than the body and the mind. If we look in those two places and we don't find this me, then the findable me doesn't exist. So that's the second step. To understand just simply where to look, and if we don't find, then it doesn't exist. Then we do the search in step 3 and 4, and we can do the search in either order, searching for the me as the same as the body and the mind, and then different than the body and the mind. Usually the way it's listed here is first search for, is it the same as the body and the mind? Of course, the only sort of sensible place it might be is here, because if the me is different than the body and the mind, that would imply that you could have a sense of me over there somewhere. And we never have a sense of me that is not based at least on some aspect of the body and the mind. But to be complete, we can search there as well. So in the search here, is the me the same as the body and the mind? So again, then we can search the body and the mind in either order, as you like, and look for the me. Is the me somewhere in the body? Is it somewhere in the mind? If we don't find the me in the body and the mind, then the only other place it could be is different than the body and the mind, which would mean that you would have to be able to take away the body and the mind and be left with the me. And then if we don't find that in either of these two places, then if we get to the point of not finding, that not finding is an experience of emptiness. It's a realization there's no findable me. And then we simply hold that experience. We stop searching. So once you've done a search and you come to an experience, it's not there, then hold that. Just rest in that experience as long as you can and allow that experience to penetrate more in the mind. Deeper, deeper, deeper. The more you can do that, the more effect or impact it will have on the mind, the more residual effect after the meditation. Now, often what happens, of course, is that, as the question over here was, that if we don't have good focus in this meditation, if we're not focused very well, then often the search doesn't go, well, one, we don't get a very clear picture, and two, when we do the search, we start searching and then we get distracted and we space out and where was I and where am I up to, and then of course we don't get any conclusive result. And even if we do get a result, maybe we get to the point of, oh, it's not here, then when we hold that experience, then very quickly that often dissipates into just being spaced out or getting distracted by something. So if we get to that point and we can't hold the experience and we get distracted or space out, it's recommended then to go back and do the process again, to do the